Hey, how's it going? Hello?
Sorry about that. I had my mic muted. What's up?
Not much. I just saw you really you disagree with my my stateness.
Oh yeah, I think all relationships should be based off consent.
Okay, what about Hobbes' theory of consent of the governed and like the social contract?
What contract did I sign when I was born?
Okay, well, my thing is I'm fine with the tyranny of the majority. I'm perfectly fine with it.
So you're pro war.
In
You're
some
pro.
contexts, yes.
Wow. Okay. So how's that? Those that think taxation is a price we pay to live in a civilized society
Well,
are
like, let me put it
willingly
this way.
ignoring. You're
Well,
interrupting me.
well,
Let me finish
you
my
asked me a
statement.
question. Can I not clarify my answer?
So you're willingly ignoring crimes against humanity, correct? In order to protect your place of privilege.
Well, no,
Is that?
the whole thing
Yeah,
is
you are.
okay. You got in here, you're really angry off the bat, which,
I'm not angry. You just interrupted me.
well, no, okay, if I ask the question, I'm like, so let me ask you a question. Did you kill Hitler?
How is that any relationship
See, she won't
to what
answer
I'm
the
saying?
question. She's dodging the question. Da, da, da.
I'm not
See, but the
dodging the
thing is,
question.
you would
You're
elaborate.
interrupting
You, no,
me.
no, 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 I asked you a question. The thing is, if I would like to clarify when I said by pro-war, right? Or when you asked me that. So there's certain contexts where I think war and a state going to war is perfectly justifiable. Defense of the state to stop large-scale human rights abuses, stuff like that, I'm perfectly fine. For example, after Pearl Harbor, I think voting to go to war was a perfectly justifiable decision. I
Is
think,
this the 1940s? What year
no,
are we in?
okay, what about the Korean War or Yugoslavia? That's really recent. Oh, Kuwait, there's another one.
You
Those
mean war based off oil?
Well, wars are based off of a lot of things besides oil. Like you could say oil when you talk about Kuwait, but also there was a thing of sovereignty. I mean, like every single nation. There's literally every nation in the world was
So
united on this basically.
what about the war
What
on
about like the
terrorism?
Kuwaitis that were shot by the Saddam government?
So what about the war on terrorism?
What about it?
I'm asking you.
Like that's like the war on terror is like very broad. Like for example, I supported Operation Inherent Resolve, but it did not support for say I don't support a lot of our actions, like when it comes to Guantanamo Bay,
Is it
how the
is it
AOMF has
not
been used, and what
is it not an unending war?
is it not an unending war? Um, Well, it depends on what you consider like an unending war, right? Because, for example, it'd be like the war on poverty, right? An unending war, it depends on like until the issue goes away, is the war always going on? The problem I have with like the AOMF is always like how vague it was used, or like how vague it has become to basically a justification to like go into different areas. So I would say that in a way it's an unending war because terrorism is an issue that's of the modern age. It's like impossible to just
So
completely stamp out. So it's a
so
question
blank
of like
checks.
how broad. Yeah, that's why I don't like blank
So
checks. It's
blank
why I
checks written to the MIC paid for without consent.
without consent from you. Okay, again, it depends on the majority. I'm fine with the tyranny of the majority. Let me be clear. Um, when it comes to the okay, so blank checks, I don't like blank checks when it comes to certain conflicts. For example, I didn't like the Gulf of Tonkin incident and how LBJ used the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which was an extremely blurry instance, which he tried to use as a clear set, like, hey, this is an instance where we were attacked by the North Vietnamese. That didn't happen. Then he used it to give himself a blank check to do basically any police action he wanted within the state of Vietnam. I don't like blank checks like that. I like when the legislature has more control over our actions overseas.
So you're fine with the minority being subjugated.
That I don't think that's what I just what. I mean, like the minority of like if people have a minority opinion, yeah, to a certain extent. I'll bite the bullet. Let me just be clear.
So you are fine with the majority having tyranny.
To a certain extent, I think there's certain things I think that should be outside of that when it comes to certain human rights abuses. But there's certain things I'm 100% perfectly willing to say the majority should be able to decide this. Yes, like taxes.
Congrats. You would have made a good Nazi based on what you just said.
I feel like you're being extremely hyperbolic.
That is not hyperbolic at
Because
all.
the thing is, I'm fine with the majority, but I will like make deciding decisions in democracy. I will though go into a camp within a majority and say, hey, I disagree with this take, and I would do everything possible to make sure that the opinions I like, which like things against racism, pro social welfare programs, stuff like that, is the type of stuff that I want to implement, and I will fight against both physically and electorally the things that oppose me. For example, like when I was like in DC with the Proud Boys and stuff.
All right. So you're kind of sound a bit lazy. You want simple solutions to complex problems and then get pissed when someone doesn't agree with your attempted theft.
Okay. Well, you just called me a Nazi, and then I say I don't think that's accurate. Let me be clear. I'm a homosexual. I would have been killed by the Nazis. A
curd is a curd.
The Nazis famously killed homosexuals in the Holocaust.
And our state has banned homosexuals just until recently.
Yeah, and I'm happy that we overturned that. I also like the fact that the state is trying to pass anti-discrimination laws when it comes to things like employment that protect me from protect me to have access to certain jobs.
What do you think that if one who seeks to achieve freedom by petitioning those in power to give it to him has already failed, regardless of the response, to beg for the blessing of authority is to accept the choice that pretty much masters alone make, which means the person is already, by definition, a slave. So, Dylan, are you a willing slave?
Are these all dialogue trees? And just like with the most hyperbolic answer?
No, absolutely not. Answer the question.
Okay, so sure, yes. Now here's a response. Are you perfectly fine with businesses yelling the F slur at me and kicking me out of their business? Was that something that's okay in your society? Because if we don't have a state to enforce like anti-discrimination laws, then I'm just a dirty queer to a lot of people. How? Wait, enforce that by just not going to these businesses?
We don't need a government to do it.
Just not like going to these businesses, because like that didn't work. These businesses, people will go and support them. A lot of these businesses, which are anti-queer, they actually spike when it comes to the amount of support they get from other anti-queer folks.
Who supports them? Who supports them?
Bigots.
Who? Okay, ignore the bigots then.
Well, I can't ignore the bigots because the bigots want me dead or don't want me to have employment, or I can't ignore it.
So if they want you dead,
yep.
Why fund them? Why continue to fund them?
Well, I don't look. I don't give them money, right?
You do. Taxation is theft. You give them money all the time.
Yeah, but I also give money to a lot of other things, and then I'll try to make sure that we do our best to make sure no money goes to bigoted programs.
So those, as I said before, those that think taxation is a price we pay to live in a civilized society.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Wow. Are willingly ignoring crimes against humanity.
You're really surprised. Okay, how do you function in a society? How do you function in a society? Because the thing is, you're in here and you're surprised, but you do realize you have an extremely radical position. Only like 0.1% of the population. By the way, guys. 1% of the population hold, and you're like surprised.
Because I'm not a grifter.
Because I'm a grifter because I'm fine with the state.
Oh well.
Again, this is what the most majority. Okay, grifting means you think I'm faking my position. You think I'm like an actual, like, whatever the fuck you just said, I'm that.
But you contradict yourself. You just contradicted everything.
How?
So, how?
How?
You know what? Obviously, no system would ever be perfect, but I do think that the system that enshrines the individual sovereignty, the greatest, will have the highest resistance to large-scale corruption and ultimately minimize the most amount of human malfeasance. Do you not agree with that?
I don't agree with that.
Wow.
Wow.
You're pretty sad.
Why are you...
Lick those boots harder. That's all I gotta say.
Why are you acting like such a prick? Like, I just
very
disagree with
about
you.
Freedom. And apparently you're not.
You know what? I'm right. You know what? I don't like the freedom for people to call me a dirty queer and kick me out of their business. I don't like the freedom to be denied access to health care.
You
No.
dismiss my opinion, but I'm a friend.
Wait. You called me like a bootlicker and a Nazi and a slave and like all these. I don't know how I'm a Nazi slave, how I'm both Zig Heiling and also in the camp at the same time. But the thing is, I held this position that,
You
again,
dismiss my opinion as a dialogue.
No, the thing is, because you came in here, and this is dialogue trees to me being like, if you disagree with me, you're a Nazi. If you disagree with me, you're like a complacent slave. If you disagree with me, you're this, you're that. And you already have these like
monopolies perpetuated by aggression and extortion are moral and should cease to exist, or you agree?
It depends on the cost. It's a cost-benefit analysis. Like, I understand there's a cost that comes with taxes, but I also like the benefits.
As I said, you're willingly ignoring crimes against humanity.
What? Well, the thing is, it's whatever you think your crime against humanity is, because I don't think taxes is a crime against humanity. I don't.
It's theft. It's not based on consent, and most of it goes to the MIT.
I don't need consent in some instances. I don't care enough about consent to that extent. No. I don't care about consent when it comes to things like taxes as much. I can care about like maybe the majority deciding like when it comes to like taxes and stuff, but I don't need to ask the consent of a rich person to tax
you just want my money. So you don't care about consent, you just want my money. Is that it?
When it comes into that instance, not as much, no.
Yeah, okay.
Did you expect me to like lie? I'm just being honest with you. I think you said I was a grifter, right? But I'm being blatantly honest with you. Is this grifting?
Yep, the military-industrial
complex
only owns a willing, and apparently you are a willing.
You just pivoted again. It's just another. Now it's
not
from.
A pivot.
Okay, so we went from slavery to Nazis to the military-industrial complex to me like not caring about consent. And trust me,
it's all based on taxation, which is theft.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with stealing to a certain extent.
All right.
I like Robin Hood. I love Robin Hood. I love Robin Hood. I love Robin Hood. I'm fine with theft to a certain extent. Yes, I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
You ignore crimes against humanity because
what? What is crime? Okay, what crime against humanity? Which one am I ignoring?
Huh? Cops? How are cops paid?
Stop grifting me.
How are cops cake? What?
How are cops paid?
How they're paid through taxes.
Correct. What's going on right now with the cops?
There's a problem when it comes to, discrimination and police abuse.
Do you think that if they were paid voluntarily, this shit would still happen?
Yes, most certainly.
I doubt it.
You don't think a white neighborhood would be like, hey, we hate black people. Here's
guns, bullets,
you can blow those black people away. If we made it so local communities bought their own police force, we'd have the fucking Klan with badges walking through neighborhoods. Bam, bam, 100%.
They won't get paid. They get paid off the theft right now. That's why the shit's still continuing to happen.
Let's say that I'm a racist, and I'm like, I want a racist cop. I'm going to hire you because you're racist, and I don't want black people in my community.
The thin blue line cares only more about the bottom line.
You didn't respond to my thing. Wouldn't that be a problem with your system? That people could just purposely hire racist cops if you're a racist? Like, this could 100% happen. Hell, we used to do it in the day. It was literally called slave catchers.
You don't think anybody's an individual, do you?
Well, no, I think there's individuals, but then the individuals make up groups, and then groups make up bigger things.
Right.
And so to have an analysis of like groups and trends in society, you need to look past just one person.
So by your logic, other people own other people?
You didn't respond to my question. You've been asking me questions the whole time. Can you please respond to one of my questions?
Go ahead.
Okay. So if the idea is it's voluntary and people can choose like who's like their, I guess, private security guards in the system, then wouldn't there be a problem with, hey, I'm going to hire the Klan. They're going to be our police force. No black people in our neighborhood. No black people accessing our healthcare. No black people are doing any of this. Leave. Wouldn't that be a problem?
Yeah. They probably wouldn't get paid or funded.
Why? Racists would love that. Racist. I mean, like Donald Trump won an election, even though he said, I want to ban Muslims from entering the United States. You don't think there's enough people who would have a similar view about black people or Muslims or gays?
Yeah, I'm sure there are racists, but you know what? You don't have to participate in that shit.
Okay, I don't. Well, the thing is, I don't have to directly participate in being a racist or a sexist or a homophobe, but I still will have the effects of homophobia and racism and sexism. It will still affect me. Me not being able to get into the same amount of jobs, me not being able to access healthcare, me not being able to access any of these things. Those are
So you're saying
problems.
there's no like-minded people
No,
around you?
there's like-minded people, but it just completely depends on the other people around me, right? They're not being like a racist or a sexist within that power, right? Which I will say is also true about government, but I can also work upon government to make sure that we have these broader laws across the entirety of the United States to protect gay people in the South and other areas that wouldn't have these discrimination protection laws if they had their way.
Do you think government is needed for laws, or the people can do law-abiding stuff? Do you think the government is needed to have these policies?
Basically, yeah.
Well, that's pretty sad.
Okay. But you can't just like say, okay, I think your like haircut's sad. Like, what's that relevant? Okay, you think it's sad, so like calling something sad, that's nothing. It's reality is sad. It's sad that we can't have complete freedom. I think that's sad, but it's the reality we live in.
We all know life is better with freedom, that our own individual experience don't mean nearly as much without the ability to assert our will, rather than having our choices limited by force.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I do not care that much about freedom to have everything to be 100% freedom. I think in some areas freedoms need to be limited.
So
For
you agree
example,
that
pollution.
you're a willing slave.
Sure, yeah, if that's what you want to call it. But I think the term slave has a pretty like negative connotation.
Freedom is what you have when no one is forcing their will on you.
Okay,
Everyone
I'm
inherently
fine with that.
recognizes this as a good thing because we all value our power to make decisions, all right? We all value making decisions without being threatened, right?
Yeah, but I think
Right?
some
Right?
things need to be enforced. I think some things need to be enforced.
All right. Let me
Well, hello? Damn, it must be like the libertarian internet. It's just doesn't go by the same regulations and guidelines. It must have cut out. Oops. Is what it is.